Hey everyone, ET8313 here, and today I have for you guys a new commander deck video of mine featuring my commander, Gisela, Blade of Goldnight. So this is the third commander deck I've ever made, and it's one of my favorites because, in case you haven't noticed in my previous videos of my commander decks, I love angel creatures. I have tons of angel creatures, obviously in my Avacyn deck. I kind of made it a tribal angel deck, and I like using Gisela as a commander, not only because her ability is amazing, but she's also an angel. So she's 7 to cast, she has flying, first strike, and if a source would deal damage to an opponent or a permanent an opponent controls, that source deals double that damage to that player or permanent instead. And if a source would deal damage to me or a permanent I control, I get to prevent half of that damage rounded up. And she is a 5/5 flying creature. So, to start off with, I have 32 basic lands, so mountains and plains, of course. And then I have non-basic lands. So what I have for non-basic lands is Slayer's Stronghold, so add 1 colorless to my mana pool, pay a red, a white, tap it, and target creature gets +2/+0 and gains Vigilance and Haste until end of turn. So that's definitely a beneficial land for some of my burn creatures. Windscarred Crag, so enters the battlefield tapped, and I gain 1 life, add red or white to my mana pool. And then Sunhome, Fortress of the Legion, add 1 to my mana pool, pay 4, tap, target creature gains double strike until end of turn. Definitely wonderful when I have my commander out on the battlefield to get my stuff dealing like almost quadruple damage. And then just a command tower, so taps for any color in my commander's identity, so red, white. And then a typical Boros Guildgate, since Boros colors are red and white. Now, starting with some of my other stuff. So for some instance I have Chandra's Outrage, so deals 4 damage to target creature and 2 damage to that creature's controller. Erase, so exile target enchantment for just 1. This is one of my favorite removal cards that came out in Khans of Tarkir, just because for a 1 cast, you get to exile an enchantment instead of just destroy enchantment. So I definitely am a fan of that one. And then I have Arrows of Justice. Deals 4 damage to target attacking or blocking creature. Deflecting Palm, so the next time a source of my choice would deal damage to me this turn, prevent that damage. And damage prevented this way deals that much damage to the source's controller. So it's definitely good as a burn spell. And then just a typical Shock, pay 1, deals 2 damage to target creature, player. And then I have Aurelia's Fury, so it deals X damage divided as I choose among any number of target creatures and or players. Tap each creature dealt damage this way. Players dealt damage this way can't cast non-creature spells this turn. So it's definitely one of my favorite spells. You do have to pay X, so hopefully you got lots of land out, but if you have your commander out, which is Gisela, then you don't need to pay as much because she'll deal double the damage of whatever you pay into this card. And then next we've got Boros Charm, so choose 1, deals 4 damage to target player, and permanents I control are indestructible this turn, or target creature gains double strike until end of turn. The indestructible one is definitely good, especially if someone's trying to board wipe you, which in this deck people often try to do. So next is Devil's Play, deals X damage to target creature, player, and it has a flashback cost. And I have Swirling Sandstorm, and it has Threshold, so it deals 5 damage to each creature without flying. And then Slice and Dice, deals 4 damage to each creature, and when you cycle Slice and Dice, you may have it deal 1 damage to each creature. So you can cycle it instead of playing it. Then a typical Planar Cleansing, just for definitely when you need a board wipe. Some artifacts. So Fire Shrieker, equipped creature, has double strike. Usually I equip this to my commander. And then a typical Soul Ring, just for some extra mana. Pyromancer's Gauntlet. If a red instant or sorcery spell I control or a red planeswalker I control will deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals that much damage +2 to that permanent or player instead. And a Traveler's Amulet just for some land dig. And then I have a foil. I don't know if you guys can see that on the video. Oh yeah, kind of. A Reign of Valkis. So equipped creature has haste, and at the beginning of your upkeep, put a +1/+1 counter on equipped creature if it's red. And I have a Spear of Heliod. So creatures I control get +1/+1. And I can pay 3, destroy target creature that dealt you damage this turn. Then I have a Talon of Pain. So whenever a source you control other than Talon of Pain deals damage to an opponent, put a charge counter on Talon of Pain. And then I get to remove the counters from Talon of Pain, and it deals that amount of damage to target creature or player. And I have Armory of Iroas. So whenever equipped creature attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on it. So for enchantments, I have Burning Anger. So you enchant a creature and you tap it. This creature deals damage equal to its power to target creature or player. And I have Dictate of Heliod, so flash, and creatures I control get +2/+2. This is my foil pre-release promo for Dictate of the Twin Gods. I absolutely love the art for it, much more than I love the other Dictate of the Twin Gods. So it's got flash, and if a source would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals double that damage to that permanent or player instead. So I have this on the battlefield and my commander. I only get dealt regular damage, and everyone else gets like quadruple damage. So it sucks for them, not so much for me. And I have Where Ancients Tread. So whenever a creature with power 5 or greater enters the battlefield under my control, I can have it deal 5 damage to target creature or player. And then I have Gleam of Battle. Whenever a creature I control attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Burning Earth. Whenever a player taps a non-basic land for mana, it deals 1 damage to that player. Spirit Bonds, so I get to pay 1 whenever a creature enters the battlefield under my control, and put a 1/1 spirit, and then sacrifice a spirit. Target spirit, non-spirit creature gains indestructible until end of turn. Always beneficial. 5 Alarm Fire, whenever a creature I control deals combat damage, put a blaze counter on it. Remove 5 blaze counters from it, and it deals 5 damage to target creature or player. And then I have my foil, Warstorm Surge. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under my control, it deals damage equal to its power to target creature or player. I have a Johnny Steadfast foil in here, and his abilities are his +1 until end of turn. Up to 1 target creature gets +1/+1, gains First Strike, Vigilance, and Lifelink. His -2 is put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control, and a loyalty counter on each other planeswalker you control. And his emblem is -7, so if a source would deal damage to you or a planeswalker you control, prevent all but 1 of that damage. So this card's pretty good, especially if you can get his emblem. However, I have been contemplating moving this card to a different deck and putting something else in, just because it doesn't 100% go with the theme of my deck. But he's still a really good card, and one of my favorite planeswalkers, a Johnny Steadfast. Woohoo! And then I have Chandra the Firebrand foil. So her +1 is she deals 1 damage to target creature or player. Her -2 is when you cast your next instant or sorcery spell this turn, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. And her -6 is she deals 6 damage to each of up to 6 target creatures and or players. So definitely good for my burn deck. And this I just got the other day out of the new 2014 Commander deck. The Tyrant's Familiar. Flying haste, and he has the new ability, Lieutenant, so as long as I control my commander, he gets +2/+2, and has whenever he attacks, he deals 7 damage to target creature defending player controls. So it's definitely beneficial, especially if my commander is out, and he's a 5/5 flying creature. Just a Wall of Swords, Defender flying. And then I have Iroas, God of Victory. So when he's out, creatures I control can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures, and prevent all damage that would be dealt to attacking creatures I control. And he is indestructible. But he's not a creature unless he has 7 devotion. So I have Chandra's Phoenix, flying, haste, and whenever an opponent is dealt damage by a red instant or sorcery spell I control, red planeswalker I control, return Chandra's Phoenix from my graveyard to my hand. So I have a Thunder Brute, and he has Tribute, and if his Tribute wasn't paid, he gains haste until end of turn. And I have Scourge of Gyre Reach, so he gets +1/+1 for each creature my opponents control. And then I have Crater Helion, I'm not sure how you say that. He has an echo cost, but when he enters the battlefield, he deals 4 damage to each other creature. Then I have Tajik, Blade of the Legion. So he's indestructible, and he has a battalion, so whenever him and at least 2 other creatures attack, he gets +5/+5 until end of turn. Then I have my foil Ornitharch. I'm not sure if that's how you say it, but he has flying, tribute, and when he enters the battlefield, if tribute wasn't paid, I put 2 1/1 white bird creature tokens with flying onto the battlefield. Alright, so my next creature is Faragax Giant. I think that's how you say it. He has tribute too, and if his tribute wasn't paid when he enters the battlefield, he deals 5 damage to each opponent. So, Guardian of the Gateless, flying, and can block any number of creatures, and she gets +1/+1 for each creature she's blocking until end of turn. I have a Stuffy Doll, so when he enters the battlefield, choose a player. It's indestructible, and whenever it's dealt damage, whenever it is dealt damage, it deals that much damage to the chosen player. And I can tap him and deal 1 damage to itself. So Flame Blast Dragon is flying, and whenever it attacks, I can pay X in red. If I do, it deals X damage to target creature or player. I have a Soul of Chandalar. First strike, pay 5. Deals 3 damage to target player and 3 damage up to 1 target creature that player controls. Then also pay 5, exile Soul of Chandalar from my graveyard, and it does the exact same thing, it's just that he's exiled. And I have Rage Thrower. Whenever another creature dies, deals 2 damage to target player. Mind Sparker, first strike, and whenever an opponent casts a white or blue instant or sorcery spell, it deals 2 damage to that player. Young Pyromancer, whenever I cast an instant or sorcery spell, put a 1/1 red elemental creature token onto the battlefield. A Crowan Mastiff, pay 1, tap target creature. Magma Phoenix, flying, and when it's put into a graveyard from the battlefield, it deals 3 damage to each creature and each player. And I pay 5, return them from my graveyard to my hand. Have a Deathless Angel. She has flying, and pay 2 white, target creature is indestructible this turn. A little Gutter Snipe. Whenever I cast an instant or sorcery spell, he deals 2 damage to each opponent. This I got out of the new commander deck as well. Bogarden Hellkite, flash, flying, and when he enters the battlefield, he deals 5 damage divided as I choose him on any number of target creatures and or players. Pitchburn Devils, when they die, 3 damage, they deal 3 damage to target creature or player. Ogre Battle Driver, whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, that creature gets +2/+0 and gains haste until end of turn. Heliod, God of the Sun. So, he is indestructible. Other creatures I control have vigilance, and when I pay 4, I get to put a 2/1 white cleric enchantment creature token onto the battlefield. And Burnished Heart, just for some basic land dig. Firemane Angel, so basically I get to gain 1 life whether she's on the battlefield or in my graveyard, and I can pay 10 and return her from my graveyard to the battlefield. It's very expensive to return her, but if you're in big trouble and you need it, that's what you can do. And Goldnight Redeemer, gain 2 life for each other creature I control when she enters the battlefield. An archetype of aggression, it's the creatures I control have trample, creatures my opponents control lose trample. Spawn of Thraxes, the pre-release promo. So when he enters the battlefield, he deals damage to target creature or player equal to the number of mountains I control. And a Grand Abolisher. During my turn, my opponents can't cast spells or activate abilities or artifacts of creatures or enchantments. This is my very last creature and card for the deck, Ripscale Predator. So he can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures. Well, everybody, that is my Gisela Blade of Goldnight Commander deck. It's one of my oldest and my favorite. Let me know what you guys think, and if you have any suggestions for your improvements you think I can make, don't hesitate to let me know. Anyways, ET8313 out.